Hi, this is Paul, and often on Monday I just do a few notes. Pastors are kind of grumpy and groggy and a little bit out of sorts on Mondays. Ooh, see, I'm almost in and out of focus there. And so I just do a little notes video and think about things and ponder. My best way of describing is that I usually take Mondays slow. Even my camera isn't there, so. A few things. The rise and fall of the intellectual dark web. Boy, we hardly knew you. Barry Weiss had a piece that was quite debated last week in the New York Times with all the usual suspects. See, this is why I take Monday slow. I can't talk. In terms of the intellectual dark web. And also picked up watched a video. One of my favorite regular conversations on race is with Glenn Lowry and John McWhorter on Blogging Heads TV. And they talk about race quite often, and their conversations are almost always really helpful for me. Andrew Sweeney wrote a piece, Intellectual Dark Web is Dead, and it was like, wow, that happened fast, but he made some good points in it. New media stars of the intellectual dark web cannot complain that they don't have a voice anymore. Their voices are quite loud and powerful. The fact is that they're criticized by legacy media has been a boon rather than a curse, and I think that's exactly right. And this has been pretty good marketing. In fact, one of the major things about Jordan Peterson is that he has been able to use YouTube for something serious. He's not PewDiePie, and he's promoting important conversations, as have the other members of the intellectual dark web, and that could be their really part of their contribution. The problem is that the name suggests members are victims of censorship, which is hardly the case. These folks are rather wildly successful entrepreneurs of new media who have finally made the big time. Besides, victimhood has never been their ethos. It's true that Peterson risked his tenured post and Brett Weinstein was forced out of his, but both have become superstars. Jordan Peterson, I'm sure isn't worried about money. He's got a #1 selling book. He's, obviously got a very strong Patreon support. He has, for all practical purposes, if he wants it, have a new career doing what he's doing. Now, the question's going to be, and again, this is why I really promote having a meetup group, because boy, our meetup group has been, I can't say how much I've enjoyed our meetup groups. They've just been really enjoyable. I wouldn't want to miss these things. Just frank, open conversation, smart people, very diverse in terms of viewpoints, atheists, Christians, Jews, folks with all different backgrounds. We used to have mostly just tech workers, and now we've had some interesting folks with advanced degrees in psychology and some other areas in law. And that's just made the conversation just that much more interesting. And so it's been an absolute delight. Everyone should have one. These folks, besides victimhood, has never been there. Okay. The early excitement of this group was that they facilitated intellectual conversations between people whose views were diverse and not ideologically possessed. They helped collapse priorities. These conversations have been illuminating for a lot of people, certainly. However, this group may not be as heterodox as it claims, and even less so when it starts to brand itself as a band of outsiders. And I think Andrew Sweeney is, I've read some of Andrew Sweeney's other work, and I've been impressed by it. I've really appreciated his insights. I did last week, as many of you know on my channel, I did a series of videos on the Jordan Peterson Matt Dillahunty conversation, and someone has asked me to do a video on the question and answer, which I might do. It's been really helpful thinking that through, especially in light of, as many of you know, I got going with C.S. Lewis and miracles, and I haven't abandoned that. What happens is, some of you have noted that my videos are getting better. Well, I hope so. I wouldn't want to think they're getting worse. They're getting better because I'm learning how to do this. And this entire project for me has been a project of education. I have learned so much. I've learned so much I've learned so much on so many areas. I've learned so much from you in the comment section, from people who have written me emails. Having an email conversation with someone about being and becoming, which, it's just so fruitful and it just expands my mind. And so even when I go back and continue working on something like C.S. Lewis's Miracles, I'm a different person than I was 3 months ago when I started this project. I've had tons of thoughts and learning about this, and so this for me has been the most, one of the most interesting, exciting learning opportunities I think I've ever had in my life. This is in some ways more fun than college, even though I greatly enjoyed college. So it's, it's been absolutely terrific. And you all who are out there, and, I started this Patreon because everyone was nagging me to do it. And so it's unlike college where I paid people to teach me. Now, people are sending me money so that I can learn. And it's just it's an exciting, fun thing. So thank all of you who have made your Patreon contributions. One guy says, "Here, you got $24 a year, all the hookers you can buy." So that the humor and the community and again I got into this and I was worried about YouTube comment section, but the community in the comment section on my page has just been a joy. And I obviously can't respond to everything, but I try to read most of it. And it's just been the whole thing has been a wonderful experience. So lots of good input from the Jordan Peterson, Matt Dillahunty conversation. That was really a lot of fun. And then a couple of things came out. Also, the Rebel Wisdom, who made that comment about Gnostics, that triggered me. I'll have to apologize for that. He did what I thought was a really terrific video with Rupert Sheldrake, and Sheldrake has been an interesting critter. Now, obviously, his scientific theories are controversial. I don't have a scientific background with which to evaluate those things, but I do know something about history and philosophy and church history, and so when I listen to his comments on those and his observations, which I often find helpful, I don't find him to be a crazy man. I don't find him to be dishonest, and I find his voice interesting in this conversation. And what was interesting about this video that I think a number of you have seen, because some have commented on it in the comment section. Sheldrake and I forget the name of the guy who's making these. They both had seen the Dillahunty conversation, so they commented on it. And again, I think Sheldrake has a lot to contribute to this conversation, and I'm thinking about picking up his book and going through it because I found it interesting. Also, someone out there sent me this After On podcast done by Rob Reed. Reality Isn't, and it had a guy named Don Hoffman on, who I've never heard of, and some really, I thought some well presented material, not along the line of Sheldrake's theory of being, but in terms of where the conversation is with respect to this question of materialism. And it just seems that increasingly the concept of materialism that is assumed so broadly looks more and more like a flat earth. Now, why do I say that? Well, a flat earth is something that seems reasonable and commonsensical to our mind. A little bit of inquiry into it, like let's say the Greeks watching a sail come up, see if I can do this on the camera, watching a sail come up on the horizon, help the Greeks to figure out even in fact the curvature and the circumference of the earth. But so it's the idea that we grow up in with, I close my eyes and I know this book is still here. But the two slit theory and and some of the questions about how observation changes what happens. I think a number of you who've been listening to Peterson, and especially his question about the photon hitting the eye, that he mentioned both in my interview with me and he mentions in the class. Again, I'm not a scientist. I don't have a place with which to evaluate that, but this Don Hoffman brings up Wheeler. So if any of you have know anything about Don Hoffman, and because this interview just kind of came up out of the blue, out of nowhere, and so again, I have no frame of reference with which to critique it. So I've discovered that the comment section is smarter than I am, so have at it in there. And if you get a chance to listen to that podcast, tell me what you think. So yeah, just a few notes today, and again, thank you all for watching, and those of you who have made contributions in Patreon, and some of you have made significant contributions to my church, and I'm working with the deacons, and hopefully we'll have online giving for the church coming up soon. I'm an employee of the church, and the church keeps body and soul together, and the church is enormously generous and supportive of this work that I'm doing. So yeah, that's just a few thoughts on Monday. I don't know if I'll do another video today or if I'll just kind of think about things and get a lot of other work done. Again, Mondays for me are just kind of slow days where I recover from Sunday and kind of get charged up. Usually by Tuesday morning, I wake up, I jump out of bed, and I'm ready to attack the week. So thanks for watching.